I think a lot of people come to UW with this really one-track mindset. Like they're going to come, they're going to do engineering really quickly, they're going to get into Foster, they're going to have this one track just laid out, and kind of taking a quarter or two to make sure that's really the track that you want to go down and try out some different classes, try out some other things. Like this is the best time for it, even though it sounds kind of scary to veer off this path. It's going to be better if you're sure that you want to go down that path, or to find the path that you really meant to go down.
You know, coming into UW, there's so many successful people out of high school that have applied to the school and are coming over. And I think what is really important is, as much as a high achiever as a lot of people think, it's really important not to overload yourself. I think for me what really helped was my first quarter I took fewer than the 15 credit recommended number. And that really helped me out in terms of, I found out about a certain club that I ended up spending all 4 years, and then ended up becoming the president my last year in, and taking other social opportunities into account as well, and making sure I get enough sleep. Sleep is really important because you can't run on an empty battery. So yeah.
Don't take 18 credits. That's good. Just kind of take it easier first quarter. Maybe don't jump straight into a major that you, even if it's something like engineering, or, I mean, I failed out of engineering after a year, so if I would have taken some other classes, I probably would have realized that it wasn't really the thing that I should be doing.
I think what ends up happening is, especially for people who are coming in who are going for a capacity constrained major, what ends up happening is they want to try and overload themselves the first year so that they're able to apply to the major as soon as possible. But the more you overload yourself, the less of a chance you have at putting your best effort in each one of your classes early on. And so a lot of people, what ends up happening, overload themselves and they don't get the grade that they want in their classes, and they have to end up retaking it. And so sometimes it's kind of the tortoise and the hare, where if you want, it's in my opinion better to be the tortoise and really take your time going through these classes, because quality over quantity, you'll end up doing better in your classes, and you'll have a better shot of being admitted into the major that you want.
The distance you go from your first class to getting in the major is pretty huge, and a lot of that journey it's academic, but a lot of that journey is also life as well. You know, doing poorly on a test, your first poor test, it's a big deal, you know, especially when you feel like you have to compete at the highest level and you don't. That's a big moment in somebody's life, because it will happen at some point.
And of course, in terms of, you know, coming into school with the perception that, you know, you may have been at the top of your class, but so is everybody else. And so sometimes you may think that you're really dragging behind other people, which is definitely not the case. I think it's just a lot more competitive on campus here at the UW.
The classrooms are very large. No one is looking to see if you made it to class that day. And so no one notices if you're not in class that day. But the large classrooms do take a little getting used to. One of the advantages of the classroom experience here are the discussion sections that they have, which are smaller groups, same material. You're just in a more intimate setting with perhaps 30 students instead of 700. And it's a once a week experience where you can dive a little deeper into the material, ask questions, talk in small groups. I go to a lot of office hours, and the professors are always so welcoming. Professors are they're these wonderful, high-achieving, smart, thoughtful people. They love to hear your questions, and they're interested in you. It never ceases to amaze me, you know, how welcoming office hours are and how open and honest professors are here at the U. When I decided I wanted to major in public health, I went to that department on campus. They have information sessions. And there I met with Tori. Tori was an advisor within the School of Public Health, and he was advising undergraduate students. And so after his presentation, I set up a meeting with him and we had a one-on-one. He went through my transcripts and encouraged me to apply. And so I was talking with him, bouncing questions off him for about a year before I got into the School of Public Health.
I had an advisor that was very supportive for me in terms of letting me know of what kind of resources I needed to look at, what kind of classes I needed to take, how to plan for my graduation, and all those other resources. So in my major, the people there have been very welcoming in terms of forming study groups, in terms of making friends, sharing resources, getting to know each other. I've definitely formed a community and friend group outside of my classroom as well as within my classroom.
So this is a really huge lesson that I learned, is that the things that you learn in terms of like working with people or working in communities that you care about, or things like service learning or volunteering or like being out there in the greater area of your university, those things have just as much value and have just as much like power in developing your knowledge and your like just overall being a good human beingness than do your classes. Like classes are really important and information is really important, but it's about how you use that information in the real world. And so yeah, I think just engaging with the communities outside of your classes and engaging with this whole atmosphere that you have here in college outside of your classes and outside of just your like roommate or just your room is really important. There's all these amazing people and all this amazing knowledge that you can gain from just talking to people. And honestly, yeah, I wish I would have known this my freshman year, is just reaching out and not being shy in terms of like, if you see somebody that's doing really cool work, or if you see a club that you never thought that you'd be able to be part of, like maybe you're looking at like Brazilian capoeira or something and you're like, I really want to join that, do it. Like just do it, because I think overall that has just as much value and is like, does so much for you to grow and to like develop and to think about your place in the world as do your classes. So